Hello, everybody. It's Friday, and it's also the end of Q1. We're going to talk about that. Wow. Well, we knew 2023 was going to be good because 2022 was such a crappy year. Good because 2022 was such a fraudster after fraudster, etc. But let's talk about Q1. What it means for Q2. Of course, we know this is edutainment. This video is called Crypto Crushes Q1, but not just crypto, a whole bunch of other stuff too. And it's been unbelievable. So let's just jump in. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, crypto, Chokepoint, black holes. I always talk about black holes. Who is accumulating most aggressively right now? And we're going to try to look forward to what the rest of the year will look like. And also the performance for Q1, again, which has been mind-blowing. So first of all, market was hot today because of the PCE number. We had the headline and core PC inflation came in at 5% and 4.6%, which is a little below estimates, so the markets liked that. The month-over-month slowdown after a January upside surprise was very welcomed. And you can see here services month-over-month contribution was the lowest since November, and housings was the lowest since Feb 2022. And yields and USD, Dixie, etc. were down a little bit after the release, but the rest of the market was kind of liking it. But now everybody's just so sick of the Fed and rate hikes and everything else. It's like they've moved on. Everybody's already kind of priced in a pivot at some stage. It doesn't matter if it's 25 basis points extra or flat or whatever. And that's exactly where we are. So even Barron's came out and shared this. Crypto beat other assets in the first quarter, but the rally is on shaky ground. This is the funny thing because Q1 was on very shaky ground. The macro was horrible. Banking crisis, disgusting. The S&P 500 didn't do well at all, with exceptions. We'll dig into that too. And crypto was completely on fire. So could the ground get more shaky? You know, I was going to title this video, we've gone from kind of financial contagion to credit contagion or liquidity problems. And we're going to see more of that. We're going to see a lot of crap coming down the line. But the market's shaking it off because the market looks forward. So let's talk about what's happening with Bitcoin. First of all, shrimps have never bought this aggressively in the history of Bitcoin. We had the 1 millionth address with in the shrimp category. These are people with less than 1 Bitcoin, which is amazing. And the shrimp cohort stacks at the third most aggressive rate in 5 years to become crabs, okay? So crabs are folks that have 1 to 10 Bitcoin, shrimps less than 1 Bitcoin. And guess what 10 to 50 is? If anybody can name that sea animal, drop a comment below. But again, that'd be a nice place to be, having 10 plus Bitcoin. Anyhow, that's interesting. Let's talk about what the government has been doing too. U.S. government has been selling Bitcoin. The U.S. government plans to liquidate another 41,000. They did sell 9,800 Bitcoin on the 14th of March, but wants to dump more. And they're going to do it in 4 other batches between now and the end of the year. And that's kind of nice. But what's really interesting about this tweet here is the U.S. government is selling Bitcoin on Coinbase while the U.S. government is suing Coinbase. Shouldn't they be holding on to this Bitcoin? It's kind of funny. But you know what? If you go back to March 14th and you look at the chart of Bitcoin, it went up on March 14th. The 10,000 Bitcoin was gobbled up in a heartbeat. Not a problem. Not that it crashed the price. And Will Clemente very well pointed out here, he said, so you're telling me the government went after just about every single major entity in crypto and even dumped 9 figures of Bitcoin on the open market, and it's still the best performing asset of the year? LMAO, which I think I know what that means. It's rude. I will not repeat that. But that was very eloquent. And I like it. It's just, you know, as I've always said, the more you attack Bitcoin, the stronger it gets. Let's go a little bit further. There are casualties from Chokepoint, however. You can see here from WV News, not VW News, but Bittrex are going to shutter their operations in the United States on April 30th, so in a month. If you are on Bittrex, be careful. Also, CEX, like centralized exchange.io, just announced it can no longer hold US dollars. And anybody that does in that exchange, they must be converted into digital assets by Monday, April 3rd. So I don't know who uses those exchanges, but if you are out there, be careful and do not be holding things that could disappear in value. Again, there's another casualties from the whole Operation Chokepoint. But there's more. Elizabeth Warren, she's building an army. That sounds very aggressive. An anti-crypto army. Go, Elizabeth! All she does is attack stuff. I wish she'd do something creative for once. This is an opportunity. She's supposed to be fighting for the average guy and gal out there. Instead, she's just shutting down things. But hold on. This is interesting. She's doing this for her re-election campaign. When you dig into some numbers here, this is a hat tip to Cointelegraph. I'll put this little graphic together. And this is old from the 2022 midterms. And so it's probably even more popular now with the advent of the banking crisis. People have had even less faith and confidence in banks. Therefore, where do they go? They go to crypto. But here you can see 59% of all Democrats are pro-crypto and 51% are Republicans. On average, 53% of Americans. So it's the majority are pro-crypto. So she's out of the gate slashed 53%. Although she's Democratic, so it might even be 59% of her potential voters. So it's kind of funny. Nice one, Elizabeth. Keep up the good work and keep that hatred and aggression going. Thank you so much. And by the way, the scorecard for the Democrats, I won't talk politics, but this was very, very interesting. Also, hat tip to Dennis Porter who put this list together. The SEC is crushing altcoins. Biden is proposing a 30% mining tax. Warren has a war on crypto. Chokepoint 2.0, we know all about that. The Biden anti-crypto economic report is out there too. And the anti-proof of work stance is out there too. All from the Democrats. All right, so if crypto's a thing, and if that data I showed in the previous slide is true, the Democrats are going to get toasted. So anyway, I think people are fed up with all of the craziness that's going on. And I'm not being political. I'm just stating facts. And here, also, regarding the whole ESG narrative, another article saying that more than 50% of all Bitcoin mining uses renewable energy, wind, nuclear, water, which is hydroelectric power, etc. Well north of 50%, which is good. Very little is used or is mined from resources like coal and gas, which is positive. Now, getting back to politics, this is very, very interesting in terms of, and a big thank you to Sanjay for sharing, in terms of where the GDP growth is the strongest. And by many measures, you can see red states, which aren't colored red here, but the ones with the darkest color blue are the fastest growing in terms of GDP, jobs, etc. And those states that lean Republican have recovered faster economically than Democratic-leaning blue states. So they would typically be the coastal areas like California, etc., Washington. You can see California's GDP growth is 0.4%. Not good. Right next door, Nevada, nearly 4%. Texas, 3.4%. Florida, 4%. And also notice that many of these places are also Bitcoin mining friendly. They are crypto friendly, etc. So something is going on here, and a lot of weird stuff going on with politics. I won't even talk about that. But this should tell people that sometimes freedom for people to do what they want, to set up their businesses, to make their own financial decisions is better for the economy of a particular state. Anyway, enough on that. Let's get back to crypto. Charles Hoskinson, I believe, is under a baseless attack. He's been attacked by the self-proclaimed Satoshi Craig Wright. And we all know Satoshi, the Craig Wright guy is not Satoshi, although seems to be somebody who claims he is. And as written here, he's not. But he's going after Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson. And there's a big feud. And he's saying that scam allegations against Cardano, I don't believe at all. So this is time when we all should stick together and support Charles. In fact, another piece of good news regarding Cardano as well. This is from DC Spark CTO, Chief Technology Officer. Cardano will be a top EVM chain next month. That's an Ethereum virtual machine player. Number one, top. So that would be pretty, very, very positive and do good things for the Cardano chain as we go forward. This could actually explain part of the pump, getting back above 40 cents as well over the last day or so. So well done to Charles and Cardano. Let's talk about NFT volumes real quick. This just came in. Again, top of the stack is still Ethereum with about 16.5 million in sales. And these volumes are actually really, really high considering how fast they come in. This is daily volumes. Solana NFT is number 2, about $4.27 million in volume today. But what's crazy is 1.55 million of that came from the Govt NFT alone. And this from Smokey. Polygon, number 3. Immutable X, Arbitrum, etc. down the line, number 4. Interesting to see how all the players are stacking up and where the growth is. But the growth can spike to certain chains depending on exactly what they have on their shelves and which NFTs are hot. So interesting to watch. Let's talk about the stock market for a second too. There's a couple of interesting things happening. This is from Tavi Costa, and it's about earnings estimates are back near record levels again. Everybody's talking about a recession, but there's a huge wave of excitement now around earnings being really, really strong. And this is after holy inverted yield curve, warnings of recession, alarm bells, etc. But companies are still making money. They're making money for a few reasons. One, becoming more effective and efficient, laying off staff. Also, inflation increases revenue and profit numbers. And this could be why this is happening. But there are still concerns about all the Fed tightening conditions that could affect earnings. There's a lot of bears that have been, like Michael Burry, etc., Mike Wilson, all the Michaels actually seem to be bearish right now, but they don't understand why the markets are so strong, and they did their own little mea culpa round yesterday and the day before too. So that was the S&P 500 earnings, but this is also boding well for the quarter and the markets. Remember, people relate risk on assets like tech stocks and crypto to be in the same category, but the key thing to focus on here is so goes Q1, goes the rest of the year. And since 1980, the S&P 500 has posted a Q1 gain 28 times, and only 4 of those times has the index found itself posting an annual decline the same year. So this is very good. This means 2023 most probably will be very good. We knew we did this back in January, the end of January in a video. I remember that if January is good, so will the rest of the year, and the same thing for Q1. So they both kind of indicate a very good year ahead, despite all of the headwinds. But there are some problems. One is this, and that's why I was going to call this the kind of credit crunch, liquidity crunch year, because we've gone from the financial crisis of banks to other problems. But this is what they call the daily average discount window borrowing. This is a process by which banks and other depository institutions borrow money from the Federal Reserve, or in other places they'll be borrowing. In Europe, they're borrowing from the central bank, the ECB, and just to kind of help themselves be liquid. And now the discount window is a mechanism that allows banks to obtain short-term loans from the Federal Reserve in order to meet their liquidity needs. And we just hit an all-time high. It hasn't been this high since the global financial crisis, and it just shattered that record too. So this means we still have a problem in the banking industry. In fact, if you look at bank stocks versus the S&P 500, S&P 500 basically is slightly negative, but the banking stocks got completely smashed. This is from Jim Bianco, courtesy again of Sanjay. But the narrative is building that the banking crisis is now over because the S&P 500 has retraced all of its losses. But somebody tell the bank stocks that they are unable to rally, and someone tell the other 492 stocks in the S&P 500 that they are collectively down on the year. This is the interesting thing. And I'm so happy Jim Bianco put this together, because I always talk about this. I talk about black holes. I talk about just a very, very small handful of companies that bring all the returns. And look at this. This is stunning. 8 stocks are making the S&P 500 positive. 492 are dragging it down negative. 8 are positive. And those 8 are what they call Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. They call it the FAANG MNT. I have a different acronym, and in full disclosure, I own elements of this. Obviously, Tesla's my biggest position. Nvidia, Meta, Google. They are the pieces that I own currently, and it is just stunning to see how they are carrying the whole index. Just 8 stocks are keeping the other 492 afloat. That's why I say, always watch for the fast growth, the disruption, because that's where the money goes. That's the black hole. And this says it as clearly as day. Let's look at the returns of these stocks so far, year to date. This is just the last 90 days. And you can see here the two top performers, well, they're actually toggling with each other. Nvidia and Tesla, both up over 90%. Then you have Meta up around 70%, Apple 32%, Microsoft 20%, Amazon 20%, Netflix 17%, and Google. Google is the laggard because, yes, you could argue they are a little slow to jump on the AI boat, but I do believe they have the tools and the technology. They're just trying to figure out how to tie their shoelaces inside the enterprise, what to do, how to do it in a proper regulatory fashion, how to not give away the farm, etc. They will catch up with ChatGPT. And kudos to Microsoft for making that decision to give them 10 billion, I should say. But that is stunning. These 8 companies hold up the entire S&P 500 and more. Let's look at the S&P 500 Q1 results. You can see the pharma in the middle, all kind of red because people aren't doing certain things anymore. Energy kind of down, financials smashed, and it's all tech. And that's just all she wrote. Let's look at the best performing stock that we care about year to date is actually not Nvidia or Tesla, but it's MicroStrategy. Hat tip to Jack out there. Year to date, 102% return. And this is a volatile beast. It should be completely pegged to Bitcoin, but it's not, which just makes it beautiful to trade, by the way. And that's why we love it so much. So kudos to Michael Saylor. I'm sure he's very happy about this. But this has outperformed everything else. And not to mention, Bitcoin is up 72% year to date as well. So let's talk about Tesla real quick. There's a lot of excitement today. I did a big video on Tesla yesterday. And now the expectations are going up and up. Cover that in Patreon over the weekend, I think, as well, or earlier this week. But this is the average of a dozen analysts. And there's not much rhyme or reason. Even complete bears like Gordon Johnson, who thinks the price of Tesla, his target is $24. Like Tesla's nearly 10 times that right now. Gordon Johnson believes Tesla's going to $24. So I don't know what that guy is smoking or thinking. But he is modeling out 425,000 deliveries, which is only 2,000 shy of Troy Teslike, who is the best in the business. And this is from Troy's Patreon page. And I'm a member of his Patreon page. So he's been upping his estimates, especially as we see countries roll in with their data. It's looking really good for Q1, hence a huge move. I think Tesla went up $12 today. Bitcoin just went above 28,500, which is good too. Struggling at that 28.6 level, little glass roof, 28,600 for Bitcoin. It'll keep hitting it, and then it'll eventually break again. So let's talk about more Tesla tailwinds. By the way, a lot of people are really shocked about how fast economies around the world, like California and parts of Europe, are going to ban ICE vehicles by 2035. But here's another tailwind for EV makers. And it's just the hits keep coming, but the hits are very positive. But the Biden administration on Friday granted California the legal authority to require that half of all trucks, tractor trailers, cement mixers, garbage trucks, heavy vehicles, etc. in the state that are sold or operating, etc., must be all electric. An aggressive plan designed to clean up the worst polluters on the road. Guess who's making one of these trucks? Tesla. Guess who'll have incentives from the government? Tesla. Guess which car or truck will have the best range and FSD and everything else? Tesla. So anyway, another great tailwind for those guys. Let's talk about back to financials for a second. Schwab has the worst month since 1987. And hat tip to Schulden Suna for this one. Charles Schwab, again, rough time. Depositors are pulling money from bank accounts, searching for higher yields, depriving Schwab of the cheap funding and putting pressure on earnings. A lot of people are worried about the CDS, the credit default swap rates for Charles Schwab, but I'm not too worried. I checked out the financials. They're going to make it, hopefully. But you know, everything can blow up. But it's still a very small percentage chance and single digits that this one could. So people shouldn't panic too much if they do use that exchange. I personally don't. Another AI related news. Well, I don't know if it's AI related, but I thought it was fascinating. And I've been talking a lot about how, college degrees, syllabuses don't keep up with the requirements for young people to know nowadays. Plus, many colleges in the US are $50,000 a year for 4 years, plus living expenses, etc. That's over $250,000. Like, doesn't it not make sense to just buy 10 or 15 Bitcoin for your child and say, just sit and wait home for this thing to go up in value? But 56% of Americans polled by the Wall Street Journal said that a 4-year college degree was not worth the cost. This is a record high. And I tell people you can learn more watching YouTube videos than you can going to college. It's pathetic. Anyway, this is another one that's coming up with something very clever. This is ChatGPT. They have a college education simulator, and it is so close to creating a universal education based on just a paragraph prompt. Take a look at this. So you can find this online. I can put a link to it below. But it's mind-blowing. In fact, I am having trouble sleeping, like many others, because of the advances in this thing. It is stunning what AI can do today and the pace at which it is accelerating. Anybody young out there thinking about going to college, not saying college is bad, but take the money. Take the $250,000, whatever it costs to go to college, the opportunity cost of not working and earning, and put that money to good work in educating yourself. You don't need to pay a university $250,000 to do that. You can teach yourself, but you need that discipline. And some people that don't have discipline may need the infrastructure of a college to learn. Others that are self-driven, they can do it themselves. So I'm not saying college is bad, but watch out. And speaking of AI as well, it's all over the headlines. So Italy today, and I'm a big fan of the country Italy and Como. There's a conference there now. It's one of my favorite places on earth. But Italy has privacy fears of AI, ChatGPT. So they're trying to ban it, or I don't know if they banned it already. By the way, if they have privacy fears, they should worry about TikTok, not ChatGPT. And I think TikTok is banned in Afghanistan, but that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, that's the story for today. Q1 has been incredible. Q2 starts tomorrow. We'll see what happens. We'll watch crypto. Bitcoin, since you're all here with the positive juju, over 28,500. Let's try get another $95 and get through that 28.6 resistance level. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to the mods in the chats, and I'll see you. Oh, by the way, apparently I'm still shadow banned because people with notifications on don't get it. So appreciate the likes, get the message out there. Like normally it's 3,000 people watching live. It's less than half of that right now. So my shadow ban is back on because probably I'm not saying nice things about people and they can just silence me. But I will not be silenced. So thank you all for being here. Hit the like on the way out. See ya.